So a few days ago, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game came out, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, because typically every other game that is like Dead by Daylight, which I've put my fair share of time into Dead by Daylight, I think Dead by Daylight is incredible, but every game that is kind of like that, such as VHS, I just think is a pretty boring game that's just not very good. But I did like the Friday the 13th game. I thought that game was pretty good. There were some things I really didn't like about it, but overall I thought the Friday the 13th game was pretty good. So when I heard that the same people who made the Friday the 13th game made this Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, I was pretty interested. So I went ahead, I bought the game for $40, which is a pretty high price point. And, I've put quite a lot of time into it so far. It's only been out for, I think, 3 days now. 4 days, maybe. I'm not sure. And yeah, it's a great game. I'm super happy I got it. I really like it. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre is similar to Dead by Daylight in the sense where you have a survivor team and a killer team, and the goal of the survivors is to escape the map, and the goal of the killers is to kill all the survivors and prevent them from escaping. But in this game, there's 4 survivors, and they're called the victims, and there's 3 killers, and they're called the family. And what's interesting about this game is that no 2 people can play the same character. Every single person in the lobby, which is a total of 7 players, has to play a unique character, which can be annoying if you've leveled up one specific character and somebody else wants to play it, although you can send a request to that person to swap to that character, so that's a pretty cool feature. But every single character has a different ability and they have different stats that they start out with. On the survivor side, there's 5 characters: Leland, Sunny, Julia, Anna, and Connie. And I'm doing this all from memory, so bear with me, but I believe on the killer side, there's Cook, Hitchhiker, Johnny, Sissy, and Leatherface, which is also 5 characters. And like I said, each survivor has a different ability and they have different stats on their characters. So some characters like Leland have stats that make them incredibly strong, that they're able to take a lot of punches before dying, and that they're able to attack the killers. And there are some survivors like Connie who have the ability to lockpick things faster. There are some survivors that prevent certain killers from tracking them on the map. And on the other side, there's some killers that can fit through tiny walls. Some killers cannot. Some killers can track where you are. Some killers like Sissy can throw poison in the air around the player. My favorite killer, the Hitchhiker, can place down traps, and I think that's pretty cool because if you know a survivor is going to go to a generator to turn off the generator, you can put a trap on that generator and they'll have to deactivate it in order to escape. But more into the gameplay here on the survivor side, there's a lot to talk about actually. So basically you start off and you're strapped in with this rope and you cannot escape. So you press E, you spam E if you're Julia, because Julia has a really good stealth attribute, and as you level your character up, you can put attributes in different areas. So I maxed out my stealth attribute on Julia, so Julia can basically do any task infinitely without raising the sound bar that's on the left side of the screen. When that sound bar goes off on the left side of the screen, then the killers can see that you're doing something, and if you have your stealth attribute raised really high, you can basically spam actions without that sound bar getting to the point where it's going to make a noise where killers can see you. But the first step when you untie yourself in the basement is to find a toolbox and get a lockpick, and then with that lockpick, I believe there's 3 doors that can be lockpicked. There's one that can be used with a fuse box, but we'll get into that later. Like I said, there's a ton of stuff in this game, but there's 3 doors in the basement that you can lockpick in order to escape. And when you do finally pick the lock and escape, Grandpa will be awakened if he hasn't been already. And Grandpa is a super key component in this game because it prevents the game from lasting too long. As killers damage you, they get blood, and then there's also there's like meat around the map that killers can get the blood out of as well, and they increase the amount of blood that they have in their vial, and then they feed the blood to the Grandpa. And what that does is, over a period of time, the Grandpa will scream, and then it will reveal your location if you're moving. It does give you an alert on your screen that the Grandpa is about to scream, so you can stop moving and be still, so basically the killers won't find you. But over time, as the killers get more blood, they can increase the Grandpa's level, which does stuff like reduce the amount of cooldown between screams, and then also when he gets to the max level 5, then the killers will just see you no matter what, which prevents you, from the survivor, from holding the game hostage hostage and just making it last an infinite amount of time because the killers can't find you, which is super necessary because the maps in this game are massive. But every map, and there's 3 different maps right now with 3 different times of day that the map can be played on: day, dusk, and night. And every map has 3, I believe it's only 3 methods of escape, which is either from lockpicking your way out. There's also a way where you can get a fuse, put a fuse in a fuse box, and then when that fuse box is activated, go to the basement, and then the door will open. You can escape through the basement. I have yet to do that one. That one's a little difficult for me. Another way, like I said, is lockpicking. And then the final way is that you can find these valves around the map. Basically, you take a valve off. It's like a little lever, I guess. And you take it off of one thing, and then you go to find where you have to put it in. You put it in, you twist it around, and then it will open another gate. So you can escape through the valves, you can escape through the fuse box, and you can escape through lockpicking, which makes the game super fun because there's a ton of variety. And if the killers are kind of camping one area, you can go to another area, which then makes them not want to camp that area. So it's really good. There's like no camping in this game, which is amazing. And what also makes this game really fun is that, like I said earlier, killers can do different things. So Bubba can destroy these little like wood things that you can go over, but no other killer can go over. So he can destroy those, making it so now killers can go through that area that he destroyed. He can destroy little crawl spaces that you open up throughout the map, and you can go through that some killers actually can go through, such as Sissy and Hitchhiker. Those killers can go through these like tiny gaps that you can fit through. Bubba can destroy those, but what Bubba can't destroy is these tiny little gaps in between the wall that your character can kind of like slide through. The Hitchhiker can go through that, Sissy can go through that, but all the other killers, Cook, Johnny, Leatherface, they cannot go through those, which makes it really interesting, right? And like the typical, it's really interesting for like a team, right? Because you can form a team through anything. So you can have a team that has obviously Leatherface. Leatherface has to be a character for the game to even start, by the way. It's a requirement. So Leatherface can destroy some paths. Hitchhiker can go through anything and set traps. And then you can have Cook, which if you're walking around, Cook's ability is he can hold right click. Well, I guess people are playing on different platforms, but I play on PC, so I'm going to say right click. Cook holds right click, and then he can basically hear what's going on. So if you're walking around while he's listening, he'll be able to see your aura and know exactly where you are, which is super cool. Just the amount of, I guess, variety in the way the killers can be played. And so you can have some killers that are going to certain areas of the map to try to see if survivors are trying to exit through those areas. You can lock doors as killers. Some killers can be going through all the meat throughout the map and getting all the blood to feed it to Grandpa to increase his level. And there's a ton of pressure that can be put on the survivors, aka the victims, because of that. But even though I think this game is incredible, there are still a few cons, a few things I dislike, which are mostly bugs, but I think it's still important to note in case you plan on getting this game. And I play on PC, so some of these bugs that I may be talking about you may not experience if you're playing on PlayStation or console. Another cool thing about the game, by the way, is if you're queuing for a match on PC, you're able to play with people on PlayStation, you're able to play with people on console. It's a cross-play game, which is amazing because there's just so many people playing it, as opposed to if it was only people that were playing with the same device you were playing on, there would just be few players in the pool. So there are a few cons. Queue times. If one person doesn't ready up in the lobby, it'll take, I think, 2.5 minutes for the game to start. So that's really annoying. You have to just hope that people ready up, and some people just don't ready up for some reason. And so you sit there for 2 minutes just with that person not readied up until the game starts. That's really annoying. Another one, and this is a bug, but if a victim leaves the lobby, it won't get repopulated. So you have to leave the entire lobby and then re-find a match. I don't know, it's really weird. I've never noticed that happen with killers. If a killer or someone of the family, I keep talking like it's Dead by Daylight. If a family member leaves the game, and basically if a family member leaves the game, it will get repopulated with another killer. But if a victim or survivor leaves the game, it just won't get repopulated. Nobody else will join. So just save yourself some time. If you come through that, just leave the game and then join again. That's really annoying. That's a bug. They'll fix it at some point for sure. Another one, and this hardly ever happens, some games last 30 plus minutes. My first game lasted over 30 minutes because I didn't know what the hell to do, and I was very elusive. And this is ultimately the fault of the killer, right? Because like I said earlier, they can just feed Grandpa blood, and then over, a couple minutes, then the Grandpa will be level 5, and they'll be able to see me wherever I go. So that's ultimately the fault of the killers, but still it happens, and that's kind of annoying sometimes because it's like, gosh, I'm trying to leave, because sometimes even my first game lasted 30 minutes, but I've had other games that lasted that long because I'm trying to leave out of one exit, and the hitchhiker is trapping that exit. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to alert the hitchhiker that I'm here. I have to go get a knife to deactivate his trap. So I go all the way down in the basement, get a knife, come up, and by that time, all 3 killers are basically protecting that one exit. So I have to go find another exit, and the games can just last a super long time because, like I said, ultimately it's the fault of the killers because they could just be feeding blood to Grandpa this whole time, but for some reason they want to camp some of the exits. So it is what it is. But sometimes it does happen. You'll probably get one game every 5 hours, 10 hours maybe that does that. So it's not too big of a deal, but it does happen, and it is kind of annoying. Another one, this is a huge bug that I think everybody is experiencing right now. The XP that you gain when the game is over isn't right. For some reason, it every time you gain XP, let's say I'm level 17. When I end a game, I will then be level 18, even though I'm not level 18, I'm level 17, which is really weird. That's something they definitely need to fix soon, because you never know what level you really are until you get out of that like XP gain screen and you see your actual player level. So that's, really weird. But that's something that's going on right now, which is just strange. It just shows you the wrong amount of XP you're getting. Another one that I've been getting on PC a lot that I haven't had a lot of people complain about, but I've been getting this message that says supplied credentials are invalid. And basically you have to restart your whole game to play. I think that's because of the XP thing. And the game says you're one level, but in reality you're not that level, so it says the supplied credentials are invalid. You just have to restart the entire game in order to even play. That's pretty annoying. Another one, network connections on family side. So basically the whole lobby will sit in limbo where everybody can walk around the map but not interact with anything. Then about 30 seconds later it kicks everyone out and gives nobody XP from the match. I had a game where I killed 3 out of the 4 survivors and didn't get any XP for that. So that sucked. That's a really annoying one. I've only experienced that 2 times. I think I've played the game for 15 hours. I've only experienced that for the 2 times. So that's not that big of a deal, but I haven't played Family that often. And to get that 2 times in the short amount of time I did play Family is kind of scary. Yeah, I'm more of a survivor enjoyer. I'm not a big killer-sided guy, but ultimately this game is a blast. Like, I have, I think, over 2,000 hours on Dead by Daylight. I could totally see my time in Texas Chainsaw Massacre going up to that. Like, it's a super fun game. There's a ton of variety, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of different perks. You can upgrade your perks as well and make your perks stronger than they are, which is really fun, just from playing that character. And there are a few different levels. You have a player level, which is your overall level, and you get, I think there's skill points, I think, from that, and then you can spend those skill points on characters, which raises up your character level. So there's quite a few levels in the game, and I think the max player level is 50. I hope they do add more grindy stuff, though, because one possible flaw I could see is that you just get everything in the game and then there's nothing else to do. So hopefully they add like prestiges or something, just something, just to make it so the game doesn't really seem like it has an end. That's what I really like in Dead by Daylight. You can prestige each character, and there's over like 60 characters in the game. You can prestige each character 100 times, which nobody is ever going to do. But that's fun because it gives you something to kind of go for, I guess. Getting one character prestige 100 takes a super long time, so it's just pretty fun to do. So yeah, the game is a blast. I really like it. I'm sure there's a few things I forgot to talk about, but buy the game if you want, play it for yourself. It's fun to learn about everything there is in the game, learn how all the killers work, learn how all the survivors work, learn what perks work together. It's seriously a blast just learning the game. I've had a ton of fun on it, honestly. I've been procrastinating making videos on the main channel because of this. Like, I've been having a ton of fun on this. I might stream some of this game tonight on Twitch. I feel like that'd be fun. But yeah, this game is just incredible. You know, maybe it's not worth the $40 for you. Maybe it is. But I just wanted to make this video about how much I enjoy it and how much I like it and how much fun it's been just playing the game. So yeah, thanks for watching.